Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am Castlekeeper Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today I'm going to be talking about the Castlekeeper's Guide, Chapter 17 and 18. So, as you may be aware, I've been preparing a new campaign for Castles and Crusades, and this will be a game that I am running on Tuesday evenings, and really looking to bring into this game some of the new variants of rules from the Castle Keeper's guides that I had not used before, or ones that are specific to the new reforged printings of Castle Keeper's Guide, and as well as the Player's Handbook and the Monsters and Treasures as well, along with some of the other things that I received from a Kickstarter. So I have the new Adventurer's Armory. I have the Monstrous Armory, which actually includes weapons specific to the various demi-human races, as well as war mounts for both human and non-human alike. So really excited about this new campaign, and this video is also going to function as a session zero for my players, so that they can see some of the things that I am considering using in our new campaign. So without further ado, let me jump right to some of the things that I will be covering, and I'm going to go straight to here. So chapter 17 is basically combat, and reading. I'm not going to read through this whole thing with you, but so chapter 17 begins with combat, and it's talking about balance and whatnot, and I'm not really delving into there. I started focusing in on initiative, and so I wanted to come up with a way that I think the initiative system is going to be a little bit more dynamic and individualized based on the characters and their individual initiative roles. But I also wanted to include an element where more experienced players are going to act far more efficiently. In other words, they're going to have some initiative bonuses because their confidence level will entice them to be much quicker, both in mind and in body, in a situation, and their adversaries will have that same kind of an advantage as well. So everyone is going to roll an initial, an initial initiative roll based on D10 plus their intelligence modifier for thinking contests, or based on their dexterity modifier based on physical context, and then if there is a differential of 2 hit die or 2 levels above their opponent, then they would gain an extra +1 to that roll. If it's 4, they'll gain an extra +2, and so on and so forth. So I wanted to make it a system where, yes, it is individualized, but there are advantages to being more experienced, or at least more powerful, and thus being encouraged to act a lot faster than usual. Now that could play in a negative fashion as well, but that's what I was looking to do with this system. So and when I go through these, I will show you my write-up of just the components that I will certainly be using. So that's one of the changes, or one of the modifications that I will be using. Moving on, so critical hits, and I am utilizing the critical hit option 1. All right, this is the simplest method of doing critical hits and fumbles. When to hit roll results in a natural 20, a critical hit is scored. The weapon does maximum damage plus a d4 plus strength modifier. So that to me is the easiest method of doing it. I don't have to, I don't have to look at additional charts or, other things that they don't have to roll a second damage die other than just the d4 straight up. Secondly, there's the component here that if a 1 is rolled, it is if a natural 1, the character drops their weapon or breaks their bowstring. In the case of a bowstring, they roll a d6 to see further effects. If it is a 1, then it's just the arrow that broke and not the string, and therefore, even though they won't be able to attack that round a second time, they will be able to attack the following round. If it's a 2 through 6, then the bowstring has broken. I will come up with a similar thing for their, for fumbling with a melee weapon, for example. So, it might just be that the melee weapon on the fumble, if they rolled a 1, then it's just a total miss, and they won't get a second attack that round. But if it's a 2 through 6, then they've actually lost the handle on their weapon. Their weapon has fallen. All right, and that eliminates them for the remainder of that round. And then the following round, they will have to spend an action, whether it's win initiative in order to pick up or draw a new weapon in order to attack in their proper order. If not, then they may not actually get another action there. I'm going to certainly play out that situation and see what are the effects of a true fumble. I might even say on a 2 through 5, it's that kind of a fumble where they're just they drop their weapon. But on a 6, that means that they've actually stumbled and fallen, and now they're more at risk of being attacked themselves, and I'm kind of leaning towards that as well. So this is a good session 0 kind of discussion to have with my players so that they can also chime in on that. Moving on, like I said, I'm going to skip over these. I've used some of these critical hit tables, and my players overall were not too excited about using these. Because oftentimes they were encountering a lot of creatures, and so there was a lot of opportunities for critical hits, and and they were certainly at a disadvantage in those situations. Then I move on to I'm not going to deal with line of sight. Combat maneuvers we may take a look at. I might just have this as modifiers for the situation, and utilize those. I will make sure that my players are familiar with these so that they kind of know what the combat situations will be. So the situation modifier and then the combat maneuvers modifiers will be applied. I'm not modifying damage other than what I've already described. I'm not doing weapon type to armor class modifications. So hit points, I've always given maximum hit points at first level. So that's something I've done across the board, across many different game systems. So that is certainly in play here. The other thing I liked about this, though, was the idea of wounds. All right, and so utilizing wound points. So why wounds? A wound could be described as any damage that actually forces a change in the character's physical well-being. This could be a cut that continues to bleed, a crushing blow to the skull that leaves the character stunned or confused, a cut to the legs that leaves the character slowed or immobilized, or a wound to the arms that impede the character's ability to wield a weapon, cast a spell, or bear a shield. So wound damage is basically your wounds are considered in categories of 4 different spaces, right? There is the first 25 hit points of 25 percentile points of damage that your character has taken, which counts as a wound number 1. And a wound number 1 has no real ill effects. So if you have 8 hit points and you take 2 hit points of damage, you're still physically and mentally unaffected by that wound. However, as soon as you take a second wound, now you're at somewhere below that 25%. So if you took a 3 hit point damage and you only have 8 hit points, now you're in that next percentile. You are in the 2 wounds category, at which case you will be at -1 to attribute checks and attack rolls. All right, and that includes dealing damage as well. Once you are at 50% or below your hit points, you're at -2 to attribute checks, attack rolls, and -1 to all saving throws. And then at 4, so you're in the final 25% of your hit points, then your those 4 wounds will be a -3 to attribute checks, attack rolls, and -2 to all saving throws. Excuse me. So now there are further adjustments such as hit location and such, and I'm not quite sure I'm going to utilize those. But we'll see. I'm also not dealing with massive damage, that kind of a thing. I think the wounds would be decent enough to utilize. Now we start getting into chapter 18. All right, and I am definitely utilizing the skills packages for player characters, and so here we have secondary skills. So these secondary skills, and they have a good description for each of these, and every player character will start with a secondary skill that they can choose. All right, if they choose to roll it, they're certainly able to roll it as well. But I have them start off with a secondary skill, and they're to, look to utilize this skill and whatnot, and I am going to attach an experience point bonus for any time that they effectively use their skills in a way that enhances the role playing, or just in general the adventuring that they're going on as well. So and I'm going to start tweaking the experience points gains for my players to again enhance role playing and and intelligent tactical choices and great uses of all of their skills that they have, not just on their character sheet, but the skills that are that are part of their character's makeup. So it's not just mechanical skills, but their intellectual skills, their experience skills that they have as well. Advantages, I will be using advantages. Now, this is not the same way that you might think of advantages as far as rolling 2d20 instead of 1, or disadvantages like that as well. This is more static than that, and more chosen. So advantages in Castles and Crusades are almost like traits. So their traits, and you can see here the advantage progression. So every character class gets an advantage at first level, and then depending on the character classes, they gain advantages, faster or slower than others, just at different paces. So advantages, there are all demi-humans must take their first advantage from their demi-human or heritage advantages. So dwarves will have these advantages, such as expert miners, and they give them static bonuses, right? So a dwarf as a giant fighter is a dwarf must have a basic to hit of +1 as a prerequisite. All right, and what this does is it gives the dwarf who takes this advantage a gain an additional +2 to armor class when fighting giants. All right. However, tactics do not lend themselves well to fighting multiple opponents of smaller size, and they suffer a -1 penalty to AC when fighting multiple opponents of medium size or smaller. So it comes with an advantage and a slight disadvantage. They have goblin slayers, and you can go on to stalwart courage. So they gain +2 to charisma saves versus fear, and so on. So there's a variety of different heritage-based advantages that they can take. Same thing with elves. And again, I'm not going to go into great detail here. Gnomes, half elves, half orcs, halflings. You'll notice that humans do not have a heritage. They do not have a heritage advantage, but they would take combat advantages instead, or magic advantages, which are coming up, and things such as like swift strike or two weapon expert. Then there are defensive core advantages. So armored hero gives them an armor proficiency and better use with a particular armor of choice, and so on. There's range attack advantages and whatnot. So and then there are general advantages across the board that anyone can take. Some magic advantages are coming up here, where you have adept summoner or a blessed healer, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of additional nuance that is going to come into a player character that helps this fighter differentiate him or herself from another fighter, and not just from a racial aspect or a weapon choice aspect, but from various skills that they might have, such as their professional skills, and then what advantages did they choose. That might be another differentiation. And I'm hoping that what comes out of this is that the players will start to realize that there are various ways. I'm going to switch views here. I'm going to try to switch views here. There we go. Sorry, bouncing around a lot. There we go. I want the players to really think about their characters, and to really think about how their characters are going to function within the group. What is the best way for them to act with each other, and in coordination with each other in various situations and everything. And so I'm hoping that those very different skills and such come into play for that particular aspect. Now, there's another component of this that I've already started to detail, and I'm going to switch over to that next, just so you could see where I'm kind of leaning towards, because there's a number of fate points and hero points and whatnot that I'm also going to utilize in order to make their adventuring much more dynamic. And so with with the expansion of a heightened risk of combat, I also want to expand their ability to function in a much more heroic fashion as well. And so that is where I'm going to come to, what I have included here. So you can see I'm starting to put down the actual the optional rules that I will be utilizing. Some are just straight out of the Castle Keeper's guides, and others I've modified slightly, such as initiative and critical hits and fumbles. I've already described that. Wounds and hit points, I've already described that. Secondary skills and advantages. Now we get to the fate points. So fate points, starting and gaining fate points, characters start with 3 points at first level. Thereafter, they receive D4 additional fate points per level. They may save their fate points up or use them all as the character sees fit, or as need arises. And we'll go into the details on those pages, and I'll take a look at 349 and 350 so that you can start to see some of those things. Then there are luck points. Characters have 2 types of extra points that they can pull from: luck points and hero points. Each character starts with a D6 plus their highest attribute bonus in luck points and 2 hero points. These points can then be spent in different ways. Characters can spend luck points to influence a die roll up or down by 1 point, spent to a maximum of 6. All right, and hero points are used slightly differently. Hero points are synonymous with fate points and work in much the same way. When a character decides to use a hero point, they can do things far beyond the means of mere mortals. They can use a hero point to guarantee a hit against an impossible to hit enemy or a guaranteed maximum damage. A character can use them to gain a broader critical hit range against an opponent, say a critical on a 19 or 20 or just a 20. Or a character can expend them to garner a crucial piece of information, or in a manner similar to the ones described under the fate points heading. So there's much more detail of these in those pages from 349 through 350, and for that purpose I am going to switch views over to that with you. I will make sure that you are looking at the same thing. So let's get to 349 and 350. And there are some, I passed right over it. So here are the details on them and how to use them. And there were several things that you can do here, right? So they give you examples, right? Luck points. It's under the hero points that you get most of your things. So not so divine intervention, the dice. You have threats. Threats, the dice may be threatened for their bad behavior. Various die tortures to threaten may include dunking the offending die in a scalding water or threatening to place the die in the microwave often. So not so divine interventions, the dice. As anyone who is a fan of role-playing hobby knows, sometimes the dice can be cruel mistress. There are certain dice for that that for whatever reason will not roll right. Indeed, there are streaks of bad luck with dice that fall into the category of legend. The why of these dice related funks are unknown, but it is known that dice can indeed be punished for their infraction or steps away from the overcome a long funk with those dice. So threats, so basically you're prepared to make heroic rolls on the player character's behalf, right? So following through with the threats has been known to correct dice, bad behavior, um, to bring them back to the table and humble prepared. So there we have that particular aspect of it where um, you're kind of swapping out dice. All right. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but you're going to swap out dice or you're going to let someone else roll for you if you feel like you're just having extremely bad luck. The lefty flip. In some instances, a character gets into such a funk that they seem to roll on the d20 is a natural 1. Then in this case, it is suggested that the lefty flip may be implemented whereby all ones are read as 20s and all 20s are read as 1s. In this ultimate of extreme situations, it has been heard of where a player whose only crime is bad dice rolls is granted a special. All right, now you're going to use hero points to do these things, right? Deeds. Occasionally, minor explosive drills or other power tools may be called into action against a die that is truly cursed. All right, so all of these are kind of a tongue-in-cheek way of messing around with the actual dice and altering the way the dice are rolled. I've never used this before. It seems to be kind of, quirky kind of thing. And I'm opening it up for my players to decide if they want to use their hero points for this particular usage. So, death and dying, you're getting additional saving throws. I'm not going to go into this whole expansive thing here with the use of your hero points, but hero points are kind of like a last ditch chance to to recover from a series of really bad rolls and such. Now again, your character only starts with 2 hero points. All right, and they do not recover the same as other points do. And so expending and earning hero points, hero points can only be earned back, all right, from extraordinary circumstances. All right, so if the acts of the player characters undertaken are truly heroic, they may find their hero points returned at the end of a campaign or when a character levels up. All right, and so what I would do in this situation is that if they were eligible to recover hero points, they would have to make a skill check, in order to gain those hero points back. And I will further hash that out as to how that will work out in my actual gameplay. I'm thinking of incorporating kind of like a based totally on player actions, kind of a karma value that they have, so that might become an enhancement to that skill check roll that they roll to see if they've regained a hero point that they've expended, going from and tying that only to leveling up, so they start with 2, they only have 2 from level 1 through 2. At level 2 they might get 2 more hero points if they have made those rolls, if they've acted exceptionally well, if they're exceptionally useful during a majority of the sessions going through, and just a means of rewarding that great gameplay, but still tying it to the judgment of the dice, as well as to whether or not they gain 1 or 2 back again. And then I'll think of other ways of giving beyond the 2 hero points, possibly getting a 3rd or even a 4th hero point from other extraordinary means. So I will be talking with my players about that as well. So yeah, it's just I'm trying to make this new campaign uh, much more dynamic, um, a little bit more nuanced than my previous campaigns with Castles and Crusades, or my campaigns with AD&D First Edition as well, and and just for the most part pulling just out of the reforged rule books. So really looking forward to launching this new campaign. I am currently doing the world building, which you saw my videos in the past talking about building up a starter town. I've done quite a bit of work on that today as well, and I'll be working on that over the next couple of days, weeks, and so on until we actually get ready to launch this new campaign. Um, I have one more player coming into this new campaign, so I will be at 6 total players for this campaign, and he still has to create his character and bring his character in on it. So we're projecting, no, or I'm projecting not starting this for at least another 2 weeks, which will bring us to about mid-June. So about mid-June, I should have all the work I'm looking to do on my starter town, incorporating some other things from the Kickstarters that I'm starting to receive from Trollord Games, such as the Adventurer's Armory. So they'll be able to select weapons from there, at least to a certain extent, and then they will also be encountering creatures. Let's say if they're fighting goblins or something, the goblins' weapons are going to come from the monstrous armory, which I have right here. So, yeah, they're going to start to encounter some new weapons that they've never seen before as players, and so that should add another, really good fresh element to this upcoming campaign as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to leave your comments in the comments section. If you have some of these same resources, how are you utilizing them? And as always, I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen or at a gaming table sometime soon. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Remember to like and share this video out there, so the more reach the channel gets, the more engagement I have on my videos, the more comments that I get, and I utilize those comments to steer me into, well, what's the next thing I'm going to dig a little deeper into, or what's another game system I should be looking at as well, or maybe I made a misstatement or a mistake or something. Maybe I misinterpreted something, and someone will come in here and say, no, this is the way that really works. And then I will retake a look at it. And if I was, if I needed to be corrected, then great. I've been corrected, and now I have a new perspective on something that I might not have gotten right. And so I'm always looking to do it the best way that it's possible. And so I welcome those kind of comments as well. So you all have a great weekend coming up. And like I said earlier, I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen or at a convention table sometime soon. You all have a great rest of your day. Take care.